This outdoor archway is perfect for your garden, entryway, or wedding. Today, we are tackling this monster build using $100 worth of construction lumber and aging them so they don't look like I just bought them from the store. Let's head to the garage. I'm building this Arbor, for a friend of mine so that she can sign her life and soul away for all of eternity. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful ceremony. This is the photo she sent me. Just the one. That's all we need. It doesn't look too over the top. However, my wood does not look like the picture because it is new and not rough cut. So we're going to fix that here in a little bit. Taking a deeper dive, this build has two main parts. The top, which is constructed of a 2x6x8, which I hope is wide enough. You got to fit 3 people in here. One, two. That's perfect. And the sides, which are constructed from just 4x4s and 2x4s. Let's start with the sides. To make the taller uprights, I need to cut 4 4x4s down to 7 feet, since the groom is freaking 6 foot tall. Then I pondered switching to 6 foot and 7 inches, but I took the high road and got it to be 7 feet, cutting 4 of the 4x4s to 7 foot long. Then take another 4x4, cut a slice at 40 inches, and 2 more at 26 inches for the side bracing. You need to do these specific cuts, the 40-inch, 26-inch, and 26-inch cuts from each board, so that way you don't come up short. Don't get discouraged on this next part. You can skip it if you want to. Since this build has to be perfect, I'm planing the 4x4 uprights so that they aren't perfectly square, and I can ditch those excessively rounded edges. And I know, rip them down on your table saw or buy a bigger bandsaw. But I'm using my planer to knock off 1/4 of an inch from the 2 sides. My finished product is 3.5 inches by 3 inches, with no rounded edges. Grab 2 round objects. I just got 2 cans of stain, and I'm going to leave, if this is the top, I am leaving this edge nice and square. I'm going to round it gently, but not this much. I'm going to just line this smaller can up in the corner and just draw my round, just like that. I don't want this to be parallel. I don't want the jar to start and have my curve, because that makes it look kind of forced. So I like it to be kind of at an angle, to be honest, almost like that. Nice angle. And then I'm going to take this jar, try not to drop it. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. That is the line that I'm going to follow. And to finish things off, I just take a Sharpie, gently outline, and then I'm going to transfer it onto this piece of paper near the top. Just like that. Nothing needs to be perfect. Again, this is an outdoor. I'm trying to make it look rustic, so I don't need all of these to match down to the millimeter. Right there will work perfect for me. You can doodle or transcribe this profile at the other end, and don't forget to do it to your second 2x6. Then I grab my jigsaw and cut that profile out. I've hit a bit of a snag in the project, which you guys will not. In a moment, I'll show you how to cut the corner bracing for the top and that little X pattern that goes in the upright. However, this being my first time building this, I don't know how big or small I want those pieces to be, and I don't want to guess. So I'm just adding 3 2x4s to this pile. I am distressing the boards both chemically during the staining process and physically with my bare hands, which will be holding these tools. We've done enough karate in the garage for today. The tool that I find the easiest to use is the safety equipment. Some safety glasses, impact gloves. You guys don't want to get hurt while playing demo here in your shop or doing karate. Here is a quick list of tools that you could use to rough up your boards. Make them look like they've got a story to tell. First up is this crazy looking file that I have on my router. 30 bucks from Harbor Freight. I'm not going to use it too over the top. I just want to use it to maybe kiss a couple corners off, put a little bit of divots in the boards. You can also use a simple hand rasp and kiss a couple of the corners, scratch up the face of the boards. I have a couple shaping tools. Honestly, gave them a test run because I just bought these. They're pretty cheap. And this one has a little bit of abrasion. This one has none. And if it's not taking skin off my hand right now, it's not going to do anything to my wood. I've got a hammer for maximum damage. This one has the waffle on the front. You can use that to pound in that waffle shape. It also, has the hook, and that's how you use a hammer. I have this wire brush. Mine's made by Spider. Probably make them from other companies. It goes in your reciprocating saw upside down so that you can actually use your tool without all of this being in the way. I'm going to use this, go with the grain direction, just rough up the face of my boards. That way stain really soaks in. It's going to give it a darker color and really kind of hide the exposed grain of pine. Got a good old piece of chain. You ever just carry chain with you? Yeah. This, you can hit your board with it. Just be careful, because if you're hitting the board, it's gonna want to clap back at you. That's where those gloves come into play. You can also just lay it across your workpiece and use a mallet to beat in the shape. That way it gives it little divots that don't match. You can also use a good old handsaw. Run the blade gently down the sides to make some scratch marks, or just make some smaller cuts into the ends. This is what our upright is going to look like. Obviously, those boards are going to be the upright, but I don't want to do this on the ground. The top board is 40 inches and sticks out 4 inches on each side. We need to cut a dado into the top board to allow our 2x6 a place to rest. This just adds a little bit of stability and elegance. However, if we center our dado with our upright, the 2x4 bracing for our corner is not going to have enough space to land fully on our 4x4 upright since we trimmed it down to 3 inches. I can move our dado over to be in line with the outside of our upright, and this will allow that corner bracing space to both be secured into the 2x6 upright and fully into our 4x4, since I have perfectly 3 inches, inch and a half, inch and a half. To mark where our dado goes, I'm just going to measure in 4 inches. And knowing that my material is 1.5 inches thick, I'm going to go to 5.5 inches, make my mark. Same with this other side. And then I can just measure down that 2 inches. Make a quick reference. Look like little faces. And that is the section that I'm going to be removing. If you chose to leave your 4x4s at 3.5 by 3.5 and you did not rip them down as I did, your measurements will actually just be 3.5 and 3.5 inch, since you're adding a 1/2 inch to each side. Let me show you how to easily cut a dado using your miter saw. If you trimmed your board down to 3 inch by 3.5, we will be placing that 3.5 inch section down onto the base of our miter saw. If you didn't trim your board down and it's just a stock 4x4, just chuck it up there. I added a stock piece of 2x4 up against my fence because, looking at an old template, since the blade is round, it doesn't actually cut a nice straight line that close to the fence. So we need to bring our material out a little bit. And since we don't want our blade traveling all the way through our material, we have to make one more adjustment, and that is the limiting screw, which should be somewhere on your saw. Mine's right here. And once you screw that down, it stops your blade from going all the way through your material, making a dado. Cut those 4 dados into the top 40-inch pieces. I like to leave mine a little loose because they will be assembling this on site. I don't want them to have special tools or gigantic mallets to hammer this together. And now it's time to assemble the gigantic upright. In the photograph, it looks like these side pieces are closer to the bottom than they are the top. Do I dare say 16 inches? That's too low. Let's go with 20 inches. I'm going to put it at 20 inches. So I'm going to screw through this side here. Again, 20 inches up, and then 1 inch in on both sides. Using a 3/8 spade bit, I'm going to go pretty far down into my material, just enough so that the screw has about 1 inch to bite through this material into the next piece. That didn't help. Which puts me at 49. I'm going to say 48 7/8. Same thing, draw your line, 1 inch, 1 inch. No more guessing now, Jeremy. We got the tape out. Who's Jeremy? Repeat that for this other side and our other 2 boards. It's too big for the workbench. All right, this should work. This should work. Gonna put some glue on this little bad boy. I'm gonna just kind of eyeball center this. Nothing fancy. I added 2 3-inch deck screws to screw this into place. Glue, clamp, and screw in this next piece. Also seems like a good angle to tell you that I'm going to put some glue on here and screw through the tops of these. Fun fact, most clamps you can flip around so that you have pushing power instead of pulling power. To fill in these holes, I cut some plugs from the scrap extra pieces of 4x4 I had from the beginning. You can pick up these plug cutters on Amazon for like 10 bucks. Pretty good investment. I'm going to put a little glue on her. Push her in the hole. I like to line my grain up so that it's the right direction. And hammer it out. Barely even know it's there. It's also going to get grayed and rustic, and I'll go back over it once it dries and give it a little light sanding. Plus I got to get rid of that line. So to safely rip these down on the table saw, since they are 8 foot long, I'm first going to rip the 2 front ones just perfectly in half. Those 4 pieces are used for that X bracing system, and then this final 2x4 I am slicing into 4 23-inch pieces, and those 4 pieces are for the corner bracing, just to hold everything together. At the table saw, I set my fence to 3 1/4 of an inch. That'll rip off just enough to get rid of that kind of rounded edge, makes it look like a 2x4. Then I set the fence to 3 inches, flip the board so that the cut edge is now against the fence, and rip off that other rounded edge. Just like trimming down the 4x4s, you can skip this step. If you're fine with it looking like this, that's fine. I wanted it not to look like this, I wanted it to look like this. There's not much of a difference. This has nice crisp edges. This one is not. Have you guys ever went somewhere like to a play or something and you're just like, yeah, I just made that out of 2x4s. I can see them. First off, don't talk with your mouth full. But you've heard or have said it yourself. Yeah, that's just made out of 2x4s. You know it. And that's what I'm trying to avoid by cutting these off. These guys get a pretty large edit here in just a second, but I just don't want them to look like 2x4s. Just me. You can leave them as 2x4s. You do you. Since these 2 boards were measured at 20 inches and 48 7/8 of an inch, this is a perfect square. And having a perfect square makes it real easy to run our cross members to make our X. Now, in the picture, it does not have them going perfectly in the corner to notch out, to make a little point, and it sticks in the corner. Mine, even simpler. 45-degree angle. I put it into this corner, and then this outside corner should match up to the corner of our frame. And that's where I need to make my cut. It's always on the wrong side of the board. Now I'm going to repeat that for the other board because it just sits on top of this one. I don't have to dado the 2 together to marry them to be perfect. It just sits right on the top. Well, it appears I've made a mistake. I lined up this part of the board with this cross piece, and then I lined this end of the board up with this board. No. This piece and this piece is how they should be lined up if you want your X perfectly in the center. Now, not a big deal. If I just make the other one to match, it's just the X piece is a little up higher, a little down lower. Not a big deal. Just like that. With these boards being 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches, this part of my lumber is actually 3.5 inches. So I have a little bit of room to play to where I want to actually center this bottom board up a little bit, this board down a little bit, so that way it's centered within this frame. I also think this is a tight enough joint that if I put some glue here and on the ends, I can just put a brad nail into each of those and it's going to hold this frame in place. It doesn't do anything for me structurally. These guys are anchored and glued. This is really more of aesthetics. To transform our 23-inch block into this decorative corner, I first had to find a big round object, and as it turns out, the bathroom sink is perfect. Otherwise, you can just doodle a gentle line across. Again, farmhouse look, doesn't have to be perfect. Then I cut that line out on the bandsaw, went back to the miter saw, and trimmed off the ends to 45 degrees just so it didn't look as blocky. And the finished product kind of looks like a snake or a mad goose. I don't know. Terrifying. We can finally clean up a little bit. If I saw these boards at the store, I wouldn't even fish through the pile. I would just go to the next store. However, they don't look like they've lived at the bottom of a river for 2 years, and that's what we're going for. There's several ways that you can get a stained effect to make it look like weathered wood. You can use a chemical agent like a Minwax wood effect. You can put a little bit of steel wool inside of vinegar for 2 days and use the liquid because it iodizes or something. We're going to go over all of that in another video. It's coming up. You can also use like black tea bags, I've read. Anyway, we're going to use this Minwax wood effects because I'm short on time. This build's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's very liquidy, and all you got to do, put some on a rag, wipe it on the project. It says it takes up to an hour. We'll wait. 5,998, 5,999, 6,000. It is starting to get a weathered look to it. I mean, even this spot where it was rougher is more gray. That's kind of gray. It looks good. I say let's stain all the stuff. I was able to get one of the uprights weathered before I had to go to work. And when I came back and everything was dry, you can 100% tell which one had that great aesthetic and which one I hadn't touched yet. Before staining everything the brown finished color that she had chosen, I want to do a little pre-assembly because I can put the cross arms into place. That just makes everything a little easier when we're all done. Also helps my glue joints be a little bit stronger. Because this is assembled on site, I am not using lag bolts. I don't want them to have to deal with having sockets or special equipment to screw it into place as you're driving them down in. If you put them a little too tight, it could crack out the boards. I just want to avoid all of these catastrophes that could happen on the day that they ring the bells, the wedding bells. I am going to use pocket screws, and whoa, yes, I'm going to use pocket screws. This part is assembled with glue and it screws into place. Glue joint's going to be nice and strong. These pocket holes, which are on the inside of the wedding arbor, they're going to anchor right into the 4x4 upright, but on this side. I also have 2 pocket holes going into each of the 2x6s from the very tippy top of the arbor. This amount of hardware is plenty to support our arbor on W day, wedding day. For the pocket hole method, I drilled out 2 pilot holes about 1 inch away from everything on the surrounding outside, and I put 2 of my pocket holes down in the bottom. Now, if you notice, these 2 are mirrored because when I go to put them up, one goes on this side and one goes on this side. I'm using a 2.5 inch screw for both the ones that are going straight in and these pocket holes in addition to the pocket holes on the very top of the arbor. To mount our boards onto our 2x6, just grab a trusty square. I first set my square to 15 inches, and that's because where this board is mounted, our 4x4 isn't on this side. It's actually right here because this board meets against it. So right here is going to be the 4x4 piece. I want to have enough space so it's not running into our profile. 15 inches. This just gets me a nice 90-degree angle so I don't mount my board like this, and then obviously it's not going to work. Coming down to 17 inches. Plenty of pressure, plenty of pressure. Come up here. Voila! That's where this has to go. And then just add a little glue. It is in the top, not really where people are seeing it, but you also don't want it to look like a monstrosity. Line up your corner bracing and screw it into place. And now we're going to repeat this step to the other side and the other board.